Welcome, Doctor.
Well, thank you, Ed. Always a pleasure to be with you.
This is September 18th,
Yep.
2016. I'd like to talk to you today, or go over with you some of the numbers,
Okay.
because of course, I'm a CPA. So
Not a good one.
I have a reasonable understanding of the numbers, which, by the way, I'm not certain too many people have.
Well, let me just interject this right quick. I don't know anything about chemistry. I don't know anything about microorganisms, particularly mold. So it's not going to be unusual if they say that you don't know numbers.
And in fact, I used their numbers a year ago during the budgeting process to explain to them that they, which I'm going to explain again today, that they have been overtaxing us.
Yep.
And during that time that they overtaxed us, they were actually earning a profit almost every year in multi-million-dollar amounts.
Right.
And during that time, they also told the professors there was no money available for raises.
Oh, no.
And at that time, I took a longer history and came up with about $62 million.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Sloan, in his last presentation before he was summarily dismissed or fired, I'm not sure what, he's gone.
Right.
By the way, he's gone almost 40 days after his contract went into effect, which we'll talk about as well. But I said, your numbers show $62 million of net income when you should be making 1.5%. And Dr. Sloan came back with some, very confusing statement, and he had some numbers that were derived from something. I used his audited numbers. I'm not sure what he was using. But he said there was only $28 million. And at that time I said, well, I hope the professors feel better that the CFO thinks they only made $28 million and still didn't give them a raise.
Right.
Well, when they actually made $62.951 million from the year 2009 through 2015. Now, where did that money go? Well, I can tell you, the cash balance in the account, now I'm looking at the audited financial statements because, quite honestly, that fairy dust that gets dispersed every once in a while, like the enrollments number of 50,133, that had no meaning.
No.
Hey, it's a meaningless number. So we go back to the audited financial statements. The cash balances at the end of 2015, the fiscal year, was $54,480,000. $54 million.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit more than 28.
Well, there's only one way a college generates cash, and that's by charging either in taxes or tuitions. And because we've analyzed the tuitions and have concluded that almost 3/4 of it's paid for with Pell Grants, which is a tax on us. So somebody's been overtaxed. Well, not the entire 54 million, but a whole bunch of that.
Right.
So if we're overtaxed, and we are, we're overtaxed because, as we can see, in 2009 it was $5.2 million of net income. They call it something else in a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
2010 it was $6 million. 2011 7.6 million. 2012 they had a restatement, but their initial number was $12.8 million.
Right.
Well, 12.5%, not 1.5% of the budget, or more than 12.5%. In 2013, it was over 11 million. 14, it was over 10 million. 15, 9.5 million. So we've been overtaxed. Now, the ad valorem taxes, and they break it out into two different areas. One for debt service, because when we borrow that money, we have to pay the interest.
Right.
And the other for maintenance, which that's what covers all this stuff. So in 2015, the ad valorem taxes or property taxes were $43 million for the maintenance, and debt service was $8 million, for a total of about $52 million in ad valorem taxes. Well, in 2015, we made an income of $9.449 million. So we were overtaxed clearly by $8 million.
Right.
we should have been reducing that ad valorem tax by $8 million.
Mhm.
It's,
Well, they call that a surplus, which to me is even worse than calling it an overage.
it's a surplus because the budget is materially incorrect.
That's right. There you go.
And the budget produced by the finance department, which was led by Dr. Sloan until he was fired,
Yeah.
they missed it.
Mhm.
They missed it big time. Materiality is a subjective number in accounting, but clearly, when it's over 3% of the total revenue, it's material. 3%, it's about a $90 million a year budget. So 3 times 9 is 2.7 million. These just blew right by that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
they were wrong.
okay, well, what concerns me, Ed, and the reason that I want desperately to get someone on board that knows the numbers, is to have the president or chair, whatever they call our board of regents, as an MBA. I don't think he's a CPA, but he sat through all that, and most of that, and didn't say a word.
He's not certified. Whether he ever was or not, we can't tell, but he is not, he does not have a license.
Right.
So,
Well, I know you are also aware of what happens because you are an associate member, I think, of the fraud.
I am an associate member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners.
Right.
That is correct, and I've studied fraud, studied it, documented it, testified about it since 1984.
Yeah.
So I've got a pretty solid basis.
Right.
I-
Is there any way to go back and try to trace that money and find out where in the world it went?
There is.
Okay.
There's reconstructive accounting. You can do it. Let me just explain that checks and balances is what most people think of when they think of internal controls. We call them internal controls. They're checks and balances. We have had, in the last 10 years, Delmar has had more than $1 billion in cash pass through that organization. Okay, $1 billion. Now, their internal control system is inadequate to handle anything near that. And I say that because they had a CFO that, to the best of our knowledge, we researched it, we could not find an accounting course. He had some kind of ag, EED.
Yeah, EED and agricultural education.
No accounting that we can see. The position of internal auditor, which would be vital as a check and balance against an internal control weakness like that existed for years, they didn't fill that position. It was intentionally left unfilled.
Wow.
So we had an academically unqualified CFO, $1 billion passing through,
Yeah.
and then intentionally there was no internal audit function.
Jeez.
So we can't say that, well, we had them audited so we know they're good, because the auditors perform an entirely different function than the internal auditors.
Right.
Internal auditors are internal controls,
Yeah.
checks and balances.
Right.
External auditors perform an entirely different function. And in fact, the statistics say that approximately 5% of the revenue for a governmental organization is going to be lost to fraud, embezzlement. It's going to be disappearing. So let's use round numbers. Let's say 100 million.
Okay.
5% of that's like $5 million.
Oh.
Why is there no internal audit function? Now, why was there no internal audit function? After you and I got up a year ago and explained things to the Board of Regents at that time, amazingly, 40 days after we stopped explaining, Dr. Sloan was summarily dismissed, and an external audit firm was hired to perform internal audit work to the tune of over $250,000 a year.
Lord.
Now,
Can you just hire an individual?
actually, and what I am going to recommend, and I will do it formally, if in fact this election goes well, I'm going to recommend that we employ an internal audit department that is led by a CPA, because CPAs, they pass an exam,
Yeah.
and it's a standardized exam. It doesn't matter what degree you've got. If you're able to pass that exam, it means you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that internal audit department needs to be led by a CPA that is also a certified fraud examiner.
Right.
And he needs to have at least one assistant, probably two, and they need to have either certified fraud examiners and or CPA after their name.
Okay.
And they need to report directly to the Board of Regents.
Mm-hmm.
They don't report to any administrator because they are auditing the administrators.
Right.
So that's going to be one of my proposals, along with many others,
Mm-hmm.
including
That's great.
including salaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset as anybody about the salaries in mine. I haven't been cheated.
Yeah.
So we've got beginning professors at Del Mar, which is a college, teaching college-age kids, college material. They're starting at a base salary less than the local high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the local high school is not at an elevated level.
Yeah.
My daughter teaches in Katy. They pay higher.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a depressed base salary for our full-time professors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's that going to do? It's going to do a lot of bad things, I think. How do you attract new quality professors if you say, come on in, we're just going to pay you slightly less than what the local high school is going to pay you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of the local high school teachers, all they're doing is babysitting.
Yeah.
And college, you're not going to be doing babysitting. You actually have to teach.
Right.
So I think we're going to lose, or we already have lost, a lot of quality people.
We have.
And some of the tenured people, and I know this for a fact, over the last several years, when they were told there's no money for raises, and they were also told there wasn't money for supplies, they left.
Yep.
They left. The old ones that you want there to teach the kids,
Mm-hmm.
that's why they're called tenured professors or full professors, because they've been around, they know what they're doing. The kids fight to get in their class.
Mm-hmm.
These people are gone.
Yeah.
They have fled. And it's all because of a false impression that there wasn't any money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say false impression because, well,
There was money.
just in my view, I guess it's subjective as well. I think $54 million is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a little over half of the year's total budget at Del Mar.
It sure is. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And with no internal controls, what would that have been like had there been internal controls?
Right.
Isn't that an interesting question?
Well, I've seen it time and time again, Ed, where the president is not informed of anything. The people just do, the administrators do what they want to do, and then if they get caught at something, oh well, we forgot to tell you there, Dr. Escamilla. And the classic was when it's been almost 5 years ago, they locked out a tenured professor who was also a department chair. And I went over to the admin building where security sent him to find out why the keys didn't work. And we walked in there, and here comes the president and the vice president of instruction. And he says, the president said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Olson," he said, "but I only found out about this 30 minutes ago."
A department chair.
Yeah, firing essentially a department chair, locking him out of his office, and then saying that he didn't have any idea that it had happened 30 minutes before we arrived at his office.
I hope he instantly overrode that decision.
No, we're in a massive court battle right now.
Is that the same Bruce Olson I see keep appearing on the attorney's invoices?
Yeah.
Okay, so we Del Mar, have already spent several $100,000 battling Bruce Olson because we locked him out after Christmas break.
And then his trial's coming up. He filed a lawsuit And the judge agreed with Delmar, and then Delmar appealed that to the 13th Court of Appeals, and they backed up Delmar.
Okay.
And then it went to the, the 13th Court of Appeals said he is still an employee. Then Delmar went ahead and appealed that to the Texas Supreme Court, and the Texas Supreme Court said we upheld what the 13th said, he's still employed.
And then they remanded it back to the original court?
Right. And that starts on September 29th.
Okay, so we're into this for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Lord knows what the exposure might be.
Oh, it's going to be well into 7, almost 8 figures, I'm sure.
This could be horrible. Now at that time, that provost, that was that short guy with funny hair.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Figueroa.
Figueroa, that's the one.
The one that slept at the...
Oh, that's the coffee shop guy.
Starbucks.
Yeah, I've got that picture. Okay, so really a bad decision, and that's just a horrible decision. I happen to know Dr. Olson, and he's a retired full bird colonel, isn't he?
Yeah, he was a Special Forces Airborne Ranger. Somebody you wouldn't expect to come back and fight for himself. Oops.
And I believe his son's an attorney as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad choice, guys. Bad choice.
Well, it's just harassment. I mean, that's
harassment. That's bullying.
Yeah.
And that's using our taxpayer dollars to bully employees because they figure, I'm assuming, that Delmar has more money than they do, and they can't withstand the fight.
Right.
But it's our money that they're using to fight to bully these people.
Well, what they do is they say, well, the insurance company covers that.
No.
Well, it's only $225,000.
We're paying premiums.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And the premiums keep going up.
Yeah. No, insurance means that okay, if we have an earthquake, then the insurance will kick in. Short of that, it's as close to self-funding as you can get.
Yeah. So, it's a mess. So.
That's pure and absolute bullying.
Yeah. They're trying to bully and harass me, but lock me out. I check my door every day to say, hey, please don't work.
I did attend a hearing that they had on you. I took my cameras in there. They decided their rules superseded the Open Meetings Act.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was a little bit surprised at. I thought that was a state law since it was a statute, or maybe a federal. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it probably was the same under FOIA, the National and Texas Public Information Act, or the Open Meetings Act.
So Delmar's internal interpretation of their own code of unethics supersedes the law.
It's something else. They can accuse you of anything.
And they've got the money to back them up. It's our money. It's our money.
That's right. That's what they don't know. They can't figure that out. It's the same thing with the city. They can't figure it out. But that's taxpayer money that they're messing around with. So I don't know. I just hoping, for everything that is holy, that we can get somebody in there that knows the numbers and can figure it out. And you've helped me an awful lot over the past couple of years to understand that, because I am not an accountant by any stretch of the imagination.
And Delmar employs some that's not in the administration. They employ, like Dolores, she teaches accounting. And this stuff is not complex. If she had opened this budget or the audited financials, she would have seen exactly what I saw. Now, here's what I want to, we've got a short show, so I want to focus on a couple things. In 2007, you had full-time faculty at Delmar of 315.
Right.
In 2014, you had 282. Now, keep in mind, you lost a lot of the old tenured people, and you brought in new people making less than what the local high schools are paying. I don't have the graph here, but I can tell you verbally that in 1992, the reported, and I'm talking about what they report, what Del Mar reports to the state.
Mhm.
The reported student count exceeded what it did in 2015.
Right.
Now, a major point here is that in 1992, there were no dual credit students.
Mhm.
0 high school students counted.
Right.
In 2015, 17% of that number were dual credit.
Yeah.
So,
And they don't go to campus.
well,
Some of them do.
they started coming to campus after your show kept saying they didn't come to campus, so I think you may have precipitated the movement of some of them onto campus.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry.
So not actually less than half of them come to campus.
I'm so ashamed.
So now the Del Mar Board of Regents is proposing, oh, you have it there. Look at this.
Yeah.
The Southside Master Plan. Okay, why is there a Southside Master Plan with a decline in enrollment, a precipitous decline in enrollment in the last 25 years?
I don't know. It's going to be, well, the phase 1, as they have presented it, is $139 million. And then with 2 other phases, I predict it's going to be well over $400 million, probably closer to $500 million.
I've been using the round number $500 million because based on their budgeting process,
Yeah.
they're materially incorrect. So,
Right. Well, and change order.
give or take 10 or 20%. So my guess is it'll be in excess of $500 million. And why are we investing $500 million in a campus that is right around the corner from where we're at right now, when we've had an actual physical decline in enrollment? And I'm not talking about enrollments, that number that Claudia gave a presentation to Rick Spurl about, 50,133. And she was right. In that 90-second segment, I have no idea what she was talking about.
Well, that's Del Mar math.
It was just some wild number she pulled out of the air.
Yeah.
That's what I got from my studying that tape.
Yeah. Now, it's my understanding from Claudia Jackson, last week I believe it was, that no Del Mar College employee can back any candidate for office until after the election. Okay? That was quite clear.
Hold it.
Okay. And you can't be talking about a project on Del Mar College time.
Oh, on Del Mar College time.
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense.
She backed off and said that, it is freedom of speech as long as you're not on Del Mar time. So when am I on Del Mar time? When I'm in the classroom, in my office hour, or what?
You would think walking from the parking lot to your classroom, that's not Del Mar time.
No. So,
But I guess that's up to interpretation. I'd hate to, they've got all our money to battle us with, so I would hate to challenge
but
them.
if you go put in delmar.edu, and it comes up with a menu, and then up at the top right, there's a capital DMC, Web DMC, okay? Click on that, and this rendering of that campus crops up on a banner. And then it goes through several other banners, and then there's another one.
Well, hold it.
That says if you want to know how great this is going to be, then click on this, and you can see all the information on the proposal.
Is that an advertisement for bonds?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, I think the Ethics Committee should be alerted to that. I agree. I'm not going to go over there with this T-shirt on, or any other T-shirt. I mean, I'd love to wear yours over there, but that's not going to be possible because those are the rules. And then we have, I think, a person that's vying for the Board of Regents, up there, is out passing these things out.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, now, is he on Del Mar time as a regent or not?
Well, they get no pay, so I guess, I'm not sure.
Oh, and then they've got that river and that rendering.
Yeah, I'm wondering where that blue water comes from, because I actually walked that ditch, and that's a ditch.
Yep,
And there's no blue water, there's rat traps.
yep.
There's no blue water.
And there are coyotes out there and raccoons.
Well, yeah, there's critters everywhere. This is gorgeous, it's just simply not real. And I like this on the back. Is Del Mar College financially sound? Well, Lord, yes.
Oh,
They've overtaxed us for a decade.
that's right.
Sure they are. They've got over $50 million of cash in the bank.
But we can't pay anybody a raise, or, you know, we offer every once in a while these early retirement incentives, and that's to get rid of the old crowd that'll say something.
Or the old ones that actually, the students are clamoring to get into their classroom.
So, you know, what can I say? It's a mess. So, you know, my point of view, I think I make it quite clear on talking to you and on my 2 TV shows, public access, that it's ludicrous, folks. That there's no way they could convince me that this thing's going to fly with 20,000 students when we can't top 12,000 on 3 other campuses.
And by the way, the full-time student count remains below 3,000.
Yep.
Full-time below 3,000. And I'm not sure if you've seen the expanded organizational chart or not.
Yep. Oh, it's horrible.
Uh,
It's called administrative bloat.
It is greatly expanded over your peak year.
Mm-hmm.
Your peak year was, I believe, 2010.
Right.
And it's expanded since then. And of course, if you turn on the TV or log onto the internet, you get a Del Mar ad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they were spending $1.3 million for advertising.
Oh, yeah.
So the advertising expense has gone up while the student count has gone down. A lot of people would say that wasn't very effective advertising.
No, it's not. You
And-
know, and I mean, how many people, we don't have a turnover in town with a high percentage of individuals, and the town is not growing, okay? I don't care what they say. It may be new neighborhoods and old neighborhoods going to pot. But how in the world, you know, can you justify advertising when everybody in town knows Del Mar College anyway?
And one of the big advertising campaigns that I've seen is for the GED program.
Oh, yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
free. Now, and we are sending high school, we're sending college professors to high schools outside of the district
Mhm.
to teach the dual credit at that high school.
Yeah.
But it's outside the district, so the high school is paying, is it $99 a course?
Yeah, it's $99.99. It's $100
Okay,
instead of the full $400 for a class.
so we, Del Mar, are funding one of our employees, one of our full-time tenure track employees at the $47,000 or whatever the base pay is. If they're new, if they've been around for a while, they get more than that. And they're going out to teach
Right.
students that don't pay the ad valorem tax. Their parents don't pay the ad valorem tax. The businesses don't pay the ad valorem tax. So our professors are going out to teach those kids, and we're not getting any revenue.
Well, I know, and then not only that, let's take Portland, Ingleside over there. They don't pay taxes to the Del Mar College District. They're out of district. And we charge the non-high school students that out of district fee to come in and take those. So what's fair about that with the high school students?
Now, let me get this straight, because it seems to me there's a lot of industrial facilities out in that area you just named that would have an extremely high tax base.
That's right. Well, you know that Del Mar, along with the city fathers, has these massive tax abatements for anybody that comes to town.
You know, I heard about that horrible one they offered Las Brisas.
Mm-hmm.
What, a 10-year?
Yeah, it was 10 years. And then they would renegotiate after 10. There wasn't anything guaranteed. And the people pushing that, by the way, were now in federal court for fraud.
That's right. That's right.
I spent 7 years of my life as the chair of the Clean Economy Coalition to make sure that thing didn't come in.
So they were fighting, Las Brisas was fighting to get in here, and we offered them an additional incentive despite the fact that it had no bearing on them.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, you know, that's Chase Energy out of Houston. You know how powerful and rich that company is. That was a parent company.
I- This is atrocious.
Something smells.
And the face of evil and the smell of corruption.
Yeah. Oh, and then we just sent our county and state representatives to China to make sure that now that the oil patch is dried up, that that Chinese pipe company over there in Ingleside, what is it, Tiananmen?
Oh, that big one they've been constructing over there.
Yeah, they told the state reps and so forth that went over there, yeah, we're going to finish that plant and put it into operation.
Well,
But if you don't have a market for your pipes, I mean, what are you going to do?
I hope that wasn't oil-filled pipe.
Yeah. It's a seamless oil pipe.
Well, that's a big problem.
That's a big problem. People don't realize that either. They got tax abatements big time. Mm-hmm.
And I have heard through other sources that the Chinese had bought old apartment complexes and they were remodeling them
Mm-hmm.
because they were bringing a bunch of Chinese nationals over to work
Right.
there. So now I've not confirmed any of that, and I never will because.
Well, taller times, I think, did.
Okay. Well, I'm getting more and more appalled. I do apologize.
Sorry.
Now,
Join my club.
now, I want to look at the instruction salaries and wages here. I noticed that, well, it looks like the 2015 total is almost $34 million in instruction salaries and wages. So if we're running, and we are very close to a $100 million budget, so that's about 34% for teaching. Seems to me that teaching is what we do.
Supposed to be doing.
So wouldn't we focus our expenditures towards teaching?
I would think so.
Right.
I mean, if you're in the business to make a product, you want to put your money into that product, not some ancillary, endeavor.
Like institutional support for 16 million?
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows what that means.
I don't. Well,
It means not teaching.
right. Well, I've seen at least 4 ads for different people, administrators to administrate the GED program.
The one that we're giving away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, I saw some erratic numbers on that, like 65 graduates.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, all that
That's
money,
yearly.
all that money that we're plowing into it. And you, in accounting, you look at risk return. We can identify the return there. If there's 65 students graduate, that's the return.
Yeah.
How much did you put into it?
Yeah.
That seems like not a very good reward.
Well, maybe they get it back in tuition if the students decide to go to Delmar.
But we pay for 75% of the tuition through grants. I'm just afraid there's no way to catch up on this thing. Well, the good thing is that, well, one of the good things, it's not too good, but it's a positive. And the instruction expense went up in 2015 over 2014 because I think you guys got 3% raise. Or,
Yeah, I think the non-faculty got 3 something and the faculty got just under 6% to their base, not.
yeah, and that it was reported as at 6%, but when you do the computation, it's a whole lot less than that.
Okay.
And that's after years of not getting anything and being told there was no money for raises by administration, which was approved by the Board of Regents. And then we end up with our $54 million in the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and our net income of $62 million since 2009. We need some help over there, Doctor.
Yeah, would you help us out?
That's what I intend to do, but I don't know that I'll make any friends on the board by doing it.
Well, I've never made any friends over
I
there.
guess I'm okay with that.
It's like you say, things happen after they watch the show.
I've got 2 cats. I've got friends.
Well, you know, Ed, I may have 4 friends in Corpus Christi, Texas, you and Janelle being 2 of the 4. But you know, it saves me a lot on telephone calls and, you know, I mean.
Christmas hams, you don't have to buy
No,
them.
I don't, yeah.
Buy half a dozen, you got 2 left.
Right, yeah.
Well, Doctor, we've got a short 30-minute show, but I am, as I look at these numbers, and I keep looking at them over and over, and I arrive at the same result.
Right. Well, I like your ad. I'm going to interject this real quickly before the show ends. And I hope you play that. That was taxation without representation.
That's right.
What galls them over there is, and they found out the hard way with that vet that I had trouble with, that my mother's forefathers came into the country in 1690s into Massachusetts, and at the same time, the Sansings went into North Carolina. And on both sides of my family, I've got direct relatives in the past that fought in the Revolutionary War.
Well,
And I feel the same way about my money. I don't want to be.
now, if they fought in the Revolutionary War, there's some other wars that you've got ancestors that fought in as well, including World War II, Vietnam, and Korea.
Right.
So,
That's right.
we all have rights. Somebody earned them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on the blood of my forefathers.
That's exactly what it is. And these dollars are our dollars.
Right.
And I don't care if it's $100 or $100 million.
Right.
They have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of every one of them.
You're right.
And I take that extremely seriously. And I will, which I think has never been done there, at least not adequately, I'll expose everything.
Good.
Right.
More power to you. If I can help, just call me.
If they don't want it to be transparent, don't do it.
Right. Yeah, well, they're as transparent as swamp mud.
Locking Dr. Bruce Olson out and then saying I didn't know about it, I have a big problem with that.
Right.
Taxpayers have a much bigger problem with it because of the money we've already spent and the exposure we currently have.
Right.
That's an ongoing problem which we will keep you apprised of.
Good deal. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Doctor, thank you for the insight.
Okay.
We'll do it again.